It's Morning Joe and the Pro. I'm the Prez. Today we've got two shows. The first one is with Aaron, a bookmaker from the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas. And the next one, Marco D'Angelo. I'm excited about this one. Aaron, I cannot thank you enough for coming on this show. You're going to answer a bunch of questions. We're going to talk NFL. And then I've got some questions for you about betting. So, thanks so much, dude. We'll keep this show short. I know you're busy. It's a big weekend coming. About 140 college football, college basketball games tomorrow, NHL, NBA. You might even take a baseball bet. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for coming, brother.
Thanks for having me, Prez. Good to be here.
So listen, let's talk quickly. The dogs have been barking since 2017, the start of those playoffs. 12-1-1. I take it that's amazing for the books. How did you do last week?
It's pretty good for the books. 4 dogs is not your greatest outcome. You don't want all 4 games to match no matter what. But it was still a pretty good weekend for us, and I got no complaints. We're going to do better this week.
Listen, last week I did a money line parlay on 3 of the dogs. It cashed great for me. What kind of action do you see on those money line dog parlays?
We get a couple of them every week, and if all 4 dogs come in straight up, they're going to hit, and we're going to take a little hit on them. But Dallas winning the game straight up did help us.
Yeah, and it was a hell of an ending, to say the least. This week, we're going to talk one game at a time. Tell me where the money is coming. Before we do that, though, Aaron, just out of curiosity, if 100 bets are made at the counter, how many of those bets are straight versus parlays?
Ticket count, you're probably looking at about 70% parlay tickets, but money count, it's definitely much higher on the straights.
Right. Yeah. So basically, if the straights lose, you're good, I guess, depending on the parlays.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but generally, if you can beat the straight bet, you're going to be all right.
Yeah, 75% parlays. What? I tell my listeners every week, all the time, stop doing these stupid parlays. I mean, if you want to get greedy and you want to try make 6-1 on your money with a 3-team parlay, why are you not doing an if bet and getting true odds? None of these people listen.
Well, I know a lot of the books out here don't have if bets offered. It's not something that our system can handle.
Yeah, well, so basically you're stuck doing it online. Indianapolis, the line came out at -5.5 at Kansas City. It's -5 now. There really has been very little movement. The over and under 56.5 to 57. I'm getting told about 55% of the public is on Indianapolis. I find this game fascinating because I don't know how good Indy actually is, given that their schedule has been a bunch of poof cakes. Where's the money coming in on this game for the Golden Nugget?
We're in an interesting spot here. Indy has been kind of a public dog this week, and a lot of people are getting on the Indy bandwagon. I'm with you. I don't think they've played anyone who's worth playing, and I think Indy's kind of lousy. Problem is, I think Kansas City kind of sucks, too, because they have less than no defense. So we're starting to get some money on Kansas City here, believe it or not. And I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm not sure this line's going to be 5.5 for too long.
You think it's going to go up?
I think it might go up. I think you're seeing a little more sophisticated money on KC this week.
And what about the over and the under? It's the biggest total on the board. Indy's defense, number 1 in the league since week 7. You just mentioned Kansas City's defense, but don't be fooled. I mean, they have the number 1 pass rush in all of football right now, and they do flex their muscles once they get into the other team gets into the red zone. Where is the action going on the total?
This action's only going one place, my man, and that's up and away.
Yeah, I figured. Dallas and the Rams. You've got to be taking heavy action on Dallas. What's interesting about divisional week is that People have forgotten about the Rams in New England and Kansas City and New Orleans. Our memory is so short. They played 2 weeks ago, but last week we saw Philadelphia upset Chicago and Dallas play a good game against Seattle. So, I mean, my guess is you're taking heavy action on Dallas.
No, it's actually been split pretty well two-way this week, believe it or not. But, yeah, I think Dallas is the side that makes a lot of sense to me. This defense is playing really well. The Rams' defense is not great. If Dallas can get theirs and get to 23-24, they're going to be just fine.
Do you think this number is going to move off 7? I don't.
I don't really see it happening. I think there's too much sharp money on Dallas to see anything go to 7.5, and I really don't see it going to 6.5.
Look, I like the under in this game, but again, I'm going to guess you're going.
Don't really have an opinion on the total in this one, to be honest with you.
Where's the action lying on this total?
Haven't seen too much early. You know, we've seen the typical over that you get on playoff games just because the public's in here and they like overs. But it's not enough that I would say it's particularly going over.
New England and the Chargers, Aaron. Perfect matchup of history versus reality. History says New England's going to win. They win this divisional round every year. They own the Chargers, but I think everybody to a man outside of Boston thinks the Chargers is a better team. I'm hearing a lot of money is coming in on the Chargers, and all the numbers are saying it's about 60%.
Well, I can tell you this. This is another one of those squares versus sharp games, but it's in reverse this week. The squares are on San Diego and Los Angeles, and the sharps are on the Patriots, which is not usually the side you're on when the sharps are on the favorites in the playoffs.
Yeah, very, very strange. Where do you think this number will end up? It's at -4 now. I can't see it moving at all.
Yeah, I think 4 is a pretty good place for it. It's probably the right number. I don't think you're going to see any 3.5s. You're not going to see any 4.5s. I can tell you that much.
Where do you think this line would be on a neutral field? 1 because of the 3 points?
I think it would be even further. I think it would probably be Chargers 1 is where the action would take it.
And that's a really interesting point because home field advantage is give or take 3 points, correct?
Yeah, but not all points are created equal.
Yeah, and you're saying it could be a 5-point swing on a neutral field, and I agree with you, and I actually think it might even be more. Aaron, I think if these two teams played on a neutral field, I think the right line would be the Chargers at -2.5. I think they're a better team on both sides of the field. And interestingly enough, I think the weather might actually help the Chargers so long as they don't freeze to death, because they're the one team with a clear running game.
I'm not so sure I agree with you on that 2.5. I think that's a pretty aggressive number, and I do like the Chargers. I've been on them all year. I've been talking about how good the Chargers are for a couple of years now, but Patriots in the playoffs are a different team. You know Belichick's going to find some way to pull some stuff. I think the Patriots are still very tough here. And if the Chargers were a 1-point favorite, I would bet the Patriots on a neutral.
You know, it's very interesting because we talk about, Belichick's adjustments and his game planning and, give him an extra week, Nick Saban of NFL, blah, 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 blah. But, Anthony Lynn rolled out 7 defensive backs last week to stop Lamar Jackson. And, obviously he doesn't have the pedigree or the history to match the Belichick lore. But, that's some mighty fine game planning by the Chargers last week. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually roll out, 7 D backs again to, really challenge New England to run that ball.
It'll be interesting if that's what they do, but I'm sure that there's already been some sort of wrinkle installed to combat that in New England already.
New Orleans, Philadelphia, of all the people I'm speaking to, there are major arguments to be made on this Philly team. And conversely, great arguments to be made on New Orleans. I'm seeing this game out of my network as being the game that has people really arguing vehemently for their side. It looks like the public is on Philly. It looks like it's somewhere around 60%. What is going on at the Golden Nugget?
Yeah, we've seen more public action than usual on Philly. You know, they're the darlings. Everyone loves them right now. They're the hot team. They're the really gritty team. And, everyone's behind this Nick Foles narrative that Nick Foles is magic in the playoffs. Don't see it.
So you like New Orleans?
I like the team that won 48-7 about 2 months ago. Yeah, I'll take the Saints here.
Hey, Philadelphia is 12-0 ATS in revenge mode in the same season. Do you care about shit like that? No.
I would say the amount of thought I put into an angle like that is somewhere approaching zero.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And the over and under in this game, 51.5. Big number for Philadelphia, small number for New Orleans. I got to guess that people are betting this game over the total.
Yeah, it's the playoffs again. You're going to see over money unless you have a team with like a hyped up defense. But I love the over here. Philly's pass defense is not good.
One of the worst in the league.
Yeah, Drew Brees is going to take what he wants.
Well, yeah, I mean, Philly's pass defense is it's about 66% completion rate. So, I mean, Drew Brees should be able to complete 2 out of every 3 passes. Ted Ginn's coming back, which should really stretch the field. I think the play action pass will be in huge play late Sunday. And, I agree with you. I think the over is the play. At the beginning of the week, I liked the under, but, I've been spending literally the whole week taking apart these games. Aaron, let's talk about teasers for this Sunday. A 7, an 8, a 4, a 5. My guess is 4-team teasers on the favorites is really going to be in heavy play.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely see a bunch of those, and you'll especially see the 2 big favorites, the Rams and the Saints, in teaser legs. You might see some dog at the AFC games.
How many? Because I do not take. I actually don't understand the 2.6-team teaser. It actually makes no sense. I don't know if you're aware of this trend, but in the playoffs, or actually in regulars over the last 20 years, teams that are -6 or less, if they win, they cover close to 80% of the time. -6 or less very rarely comes into play. So the 6-point teaser from 6 or 7 down, it just makes no sense mathematically. What are your thoughts on that?
If I'm going to tease, I want to pick up the key numbers. So if I'm going to tease, I'll pick up the 3 and the 7.
Yeah, but I want to go up. I don't want to go down.
7.5, 8.5. I'd take those.
Yeah. So, well, I like taking teasers, Aaron. I take 3-team 10-pointers almost every week. But to take a 2-team 6-point teaser makes no sense to me. What are the most common teasers you take?
In the book, we take a lot of 4-teamers, 5-teamers. Those are real big ones for us.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of those, recreational play, betting a lot of favorites down.
Yeah, and how about you got to smile when they come in there and they take, -3 and tease it to +3, and you're sitting there going, dude, you just lost a number on the way through that teaser.
Yeah, I smile whenever someone comes up and bets a teaser for the most part, to be honest.
Well, I've done really well with the 10.3 teamers. And, Aaron, the books have been very scared of those in the last 3 or 4 years. That's why we're actually seeing a lot of games that are -7 to going up to -9, -10 to really prevent that move. You don't find it that way? I mean, obviously you're not scared of anything, but you don't think the 10.3 teamers are good bets?
No, it's just a small part of the business. We put them out there. If they were such great bets, we wouldn't offer them.
Oh, interesting. On that note, let's talk about the buying a point or the half a point. This is one of those things that I hear the most with amateur bettors. I do a lot of shows. I do 2 shows a day. I do an NFL show every week. Probably about 50,000 viewers over the week. And And comments I get regularly is, Prez, why are you taking this team at +2.5? Why don't you buy it up to 3? Why are you taking this team at -3.5? Why don't you buy it down to 3? I am radically opposed to buying half points. And I can tell you why, but you go first. Do you have any thoughts on the stupidity or strategic genius of buying a half a point?
Yeah, it's usually the wrong call, in my opinion. Of course, you got to remember, you can't buy the 3 for 10 cents. If you could buy the 3 for 10 cents, do it every single time. But you can't. It's not offered.
It's 20 cents.
25.
Oh, it's been
us,
moved.
yeah.
See, I don't even look because, I'll tell you though, Aaron, when I started betting in 98, it was 10 cents.
Well, then that was a great deal back then. You should have done that every time you got a chance. Some shops.
That's actually not true, and I'll tell you why in a second. It's still not a good deal, but it's good enough. It then went to 20, and now you're telling me it's 25, and these people are doing it? Oh, my God. You're against buying a half point all the way through, or you're okay 10.5 to 10, or 7.5 to 7?
It always depends on the breakdown and what you're paying. 7 is another one. If you can get it at 10 cents, you should, but you can't find it at 10 cents. That one's priced usually 15 or 20. So, yeah, I would buy the 7 for 10 cents every time. But you can't do it.
Let me tell you why I actually think you're wrong, and maybe the math has changed, but let's start with the 20 cents, because ultimately 20 and 25 cents is what everybody's paying. If you're going to pay, let's call it 20 cents. If you're going to pay 20 cents to buy, a 6.5 to a 7 or a 2.5 to a 3 or vice versa, you're saying that 20% of the time that is in play. There's no chance. You know that and I know that there's no chance 20% of the time that is in play.
No, the math's off on that one. It's not 20%. It's closer to about 4%.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
4% is the difference, Prez, because if you're at -110, you need 52% to break even. If you're at -130, you need like 56% to break even. So it's 4%, not 20%.
On the game. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the individual game. So if you're paying 20% of $1 to buy that half point, then you are saying that 20% of the time that half point is going to save you or make you money, no?
Now, all it's about is the win rate. If you need to go from a 52% win rate to a 56% win rate, it's only 4% you need to come in, not 20.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. But that's still a gigantic leap. So what?
Yeah, not too bad.
So what do you think? What do you think on buying a half point? What do you think it should be worth? Like as a pure odds.
The 3 is worth in NFL games about 21 to 23 cents. And then all the other ones depend on the points. So I'll tell you, not many worth more than 10 cents, which is why the option is available to you.
Right. So the bottom line is, don't be buying half a point. I don't mind putting it into a parlay, though. If you're going to make a parlay and you want to buy the half point, I'm okay with that, although I'm radically opposed to parlays.
Hey, if you're a recreational player, at the end of the day, do what you want. But I'm just saying that if you're trying to, make the sharp plays here, there's some you should and some you shouldn't.
Do you have wise guys, big guys you respect, come in and every now and again buy a half a point?
Absolutely, we do.
Is that in a hedge environment, or is that like just a regular bet? I guess you wouldn't even know because they're probably betting somewhere else.
From what we can tell, it's usually a regular bet.
Right. Aaron, brother, thanks so much for joining us, man. The Golden Nugget is so kind to WagerTalk. You and Tony talking to Kelly regularly. We're such massive fans of you guys. We're gonna do we're actually, and I haven't announced this yet, but we're thinking of doing a Super Bowl party next year for all our listeners. Not all of our listeners. I mean, then we'll be like bringing 500,000 people to your place. But we're talking about doing a Super Bowl party next year. I want to do it at the Nugget. And I also want to see if we can organize a WagerTalk poker tournament at the Nugget. We love you guys. You guys. You're always available to us. I'm so thrilled. I can't thank you enough for today. And I mean, that's really it, man. I'm going to reach out to you or Tony for next week too, though.
Absolutely, sounds good. We'll make it all work for you.
Who's the boss of who?
Tony's my boss.
Tony's phenomenal. I haven't met him personally, and I can feel his warmth coming through on these videos. I mean, that guy must be an extremely warm, magnetic individual.
Tony's a great guy. We've worked together for 12 years. At this point, he's not a friend, he's family to me. So
yeah,
that's where we're at.
There's no chance he's ever lost his temper, right? I mean, I can't see it.
Every once in a while, it's been known to happen, yeah.
What would a Tony temper tantrum be, like this?
No comment.
Well said, brother. Be good, take care of yourself, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Prez.